But first, it's the interview everyone's talking about today. Unless you've been living under a rock, well, you'll know that last night, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, later joined by husband Harry, gave what many are calling a bombshell interview to Oprah. It was shown on American TV last night, and you'll get to see it here on ITV at 9 p.m. tonight. Well, here's a taste of what you can expect. And that last bit was Harry talking about their decision to leave the UK. Jane, how damaging do you think this could be to the royal family?
God, I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? Because, I mean, Meghan has very much said it's her truth or their truth. The question remains whether it's the truth of the institution, as they refer to it, and whether the institution is going to respond. I mean, the royal family has been saying all weekend that they're not going to get involved in a sort of a tit-for-tat. But I think, you know, some of the things said in this interview are very, very serious. So I think they are going to have to respond, but they'll obviously take their time on it and talk to the various people involved along the way and see what comes out at the other end of it. But there were a few... I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think there were a lot of valid points in there, but I think on the real bombshell one, which was the race issue, I struggle with the lack of context, with how vague it was. So you have Harry saying, I'm never going to give the details of that conversation. It's like, but you just have. And by not being specific, you've sort of condemned the entire family. And if you think about it, it could have been an out-and-out racist comment, or it could have been somebody very senior in the family who, I think everybody watching has got somebody from the older generation that sometimes says something that's very inappropriate or maybe casually racist, not necessarily meaning it to be or understanding that it is. And so, you know, was it in the way that people say, oh, you know, I wonder if the baby's going to have ginger hair like you, or, you know, is it going to have my chin or whatever? Maybe they said, I wonder what colour the baby's skin...
But that's not what Meghan has said in that. She said there were concerns about the colour of their son's skin. So there's a difference between, as, you know, you perhaps would be OK with casual racism. I'm not sure if you were somebody...
No, I'm not saying I'm OK
No, but in terms of an older generation...
I'm just saying putting it out there in a very vague context is the problem for me, because you're condemning everyone in the family.
No, they have chosen... as I see it, they have chosen not to mention the person that had that conversation. There's a very, very, very different reason between inquiring as to the skin colour of a child who is the product of an interracial relationship, between concerns. Being concerned about it is something completely different.
Do you think she should have said who it was?
It's up to them. It's completely up to them.
Do you feel that it would have been better if they had? Because now we've got this situation where it can just be almost diluted, whereas because it feels like she wants to say something because she believes there's something very wrong within the institution and there is racism. Do you think it would have had more power, would have been more beneficial for the cause to actually say who had said it?
I think that's smoke and mirrors. I think the issue is that they were said openly talking about, which is, obviously this is one side of a situation. She is openly talking about her experience as a mixed-race woman within the royal family.
Well, it was actually Harry's conversation, wasn't it, which he relayed to her.
But it's about them as a family, and about having someone different coming into an institution. What is interesting is who said it. Why does that matter? The fact that it was said is an indication of what it was that they were going through as an interracial couple.
Because if you're a senior member of the royal family and it wasn't you who said it, you are condemned by that comment, because everyone's now thinking, well, was it this person? Was it that person? Was it the other person? I just sort of think that the vague nature of it is actually far more damaging.
Really?
You know, when they say, I think that would be very damaging to the person, it's damaging to the whole family.
But this is...
You've put it out there, but you've not actually said what the
rather
context
than perhaps...
was.
And I want to bring you into this, Stacey, obviously, but... You know, what's interesting is we're nitpicking here, rather than the issue that somebody who has come into what is one of the biggest institutions within our country has raised an issue to do with race. And rather than deal with that and deal with perhaps looking at within ourselves as British people, looking within why somebody who has come in from the outside, why that has been their experience, rather than nitpicking.
What's the best thing that the palace could do now with Meghan saying this? Because obviously she wants change to happen. You know, she felt this very keenly, that there was this undercurrent going on. What do you think could now be done? What kind of a statement? What would we need for this to be... To have made a difference?
Well, I can't talk for the royal family,
no,
obviously.
What do you think?
But I think generally, I think what we are bad at doing...
What would help in this situation
well, I think we need to be honest about underlying racism, which does exist in the country, and there are various different, reports that have been done into it. I think we do have to have an honest conversation about various different institutions that we have here that perhaps do not deal with race in perhaps the way that they should do.
Yeah.
And I think
rather
than ignoring it and sort of saying, but she didn't say who said it, that is not the issue. You've got lots of people watching who perhaps have dealt with situations within some of the biggest and greatest institutions we have in this country, who have not been able to progress at work, who've not been able to change various different things that exist within their careers, for example, and haven't been able to due to the colour of their skin.
But that's projecting all sorts of experiences with racism onto a comment that we don't actually know what the exact comment was or who said it or anything.
That was the important word there, concerns. It wasn't just bringing up the subject. What Meghan is saying is there were concerns, and that is a key word that I don't think that we can ignore.
I have to say I wasn't surprised at all that that's the sort of treatment that she had around. I wasn't surprised. I was really surprised that they said it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that there is racism within that institution at all. But I was really shocked that both of them brought that out, because it's completely bombshell stuff, isn't it? I mean, because in a way it is the entire family, because we don't know who it was. Go on.
Also, I was shocked that they actually said it, not because I was shocked that that happened. Like you say, Nadia, I believe that you know, those cases and things like that happen all of the time. But that institution, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I feel scared for them in a way. I don't know why or what gives me that feeling, but I almost feel like, God, you know, do I really believe that these two people would go up against the royals if they really didn't feel passionately about what they were saying, and if they really didn't feel there was a huge injustice? These are powerful people and a powerful institution that has, you know, so many people that love them and care about them, and for them to risk going up against that, I just feel they must really fear for their safety and be passionate about the way they felt they were treated within.
I think what's interesting is people assume that talking about race is quite an easy thing for somebody to talk about when you are a minority. It's not an easy thing to talk about. So to get up and essentially do an interview speaking what you see to be your truth is not an easy thing to do at all. And I think we are, and I know I keep coming back to it, but I just don't think we are very good at talking about race here. I just don't think we are. And I think there's been a lot of disbelief. It can't be true. It can't be true. Rather than listening to a lot of minorities who were saying, when we're talking about an aggressive black woman, I have been there. I have experienced that.
Yeah.
But rather than
I get called aggressive all the time, and I'm not black.
But
you know,
it's
sexist, isn't it?
Jane, you are doing, you know, again, it's coming down to, I am telling you my truth as a black woman, and for many black women across the country who've experienced something, to then constantly be told, but that's not true, because it also...
I'm not saying it's not true, but but women get called, you know, it's something you have to put up with as a woman, isn't it? That if you make a point, a man makes a point, and they go, oh, very valid point, whereas if a woman makes it, it's you're aggressive.
We could sit and listen and actually take in what a lot of black women are trying to say across the country and have done for generations.
We do.
No,
in my opinion...
This
is a broader discussion, but for me, this is about you know, a family. This is about a comment that was made within a family by an elder, clearly, from what she's saying, member of the family.
You have she has said that she'd rather not say who it is. The person was concerned. Concerned, not interested, concerned. There is a completely different thing. It's a completely different thing. It is. But anyway, we could talk about this.
Yes.
I mean,
I've got a million other things to say about the interview, and we've just covered the one thing. But you know, I just think for me, you know, when Kate Middleton married into the royal family, I think William was very careful. It took 10 years. And I think he was just saying to her, this is what you're marrying into, and you really have to know what you're marrying into. And I think, you know, obviously because Meghan was living in America, they didn't have the luxury of that time. And so I do understand it would have been a massive shock for her coming into that way of life.
I don't think anything could prepare you for that. And I think, especially coming from, you know, a kind of movie star background, so you think that the celebrity will be in some way similar and that you would be protected. Because she talks a lot about not feeling protected. And I really feel for when she talks about the loneliness. It must have just been awful. But, and I do believe it was more of a shock. I mean, I know a lot of people think, well, she must have known. But you can't know, can you, in that situation?
I just think it's really sad.
I just think it's
really sad.
Yeah, I just think
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I know we've been talking lots about it, and I know we've only shown you a few clips, but you can watch the full interview with Oprah tonight. We will be showing it at 9 p.m. on ITV. So do make sure you tell us what you thought about it. Tomorrow's panel will be Ruth, Brenda, Janet and Frankie, and they'll be watching it themselves and also having their say. So make sure you tune in for that. Right. Actually, we've had news from Oprah, who's been giving more interviews in the States regarding that interview with Prince Harry and Meghan, and she says that Prince Harry wants to clarify that those comments regarding concerns over Archie's skin colour, he wants to clarify that those comments were not made by the Queen or Prince Philip. Just to reiterate, you'll be able to watch the entire interview on ITV tonight from 9 o'clock.